Good morning, everyone. Well, we did it. We kept the light awake overnight, and the sun came up this morning. And from here on out, the days get longer and longer for the next part of the year. So happy solstice, y'all. We survived another one. Also, happy Christmas to all those who celebrate. Happy Hanukkah coming up this week. Happy everything. And I won't see you next week, so happy New Year. Happy secular New Year for those of you who celebrate fiscal or on other annual cycles. I just wanted to say good morning. It's lovely to see. I know I see a number of guests and people who are probably in visiting family, I hope, for the weekend. No matter where you are, when you are, if you're watching this via tape delay on YouTube, I wanted to say you're welcome to be here. You're welcome here with us, and you're in exactly the right place.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to all of you here today, whether in person or virtually, or later on in the future. Welcome if this is your first, your 10th, or your 100th time. Welcome to Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist Congregation. where we rest in and share the desert of what was, is, and always will be the home of the O'odham and Yaqui people. We continue to actively seek to develop relationships of trust with all who feel kinship with this place, the Sonoran Desert. My name is Samar Adi, and myself and Maria Manconi are today's practice associates, leading this service today on Yule. We are just a small part of a wonderful group of volunteers and congregational staff who helped to put together today's service. Our settled minister, Reverend Matthew Francareri, isn't here today, but I would like to thank him for his help and support with putting this together. And I'd also like to thank our talented music director, Chris Tackett. Thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you to our administrator, Stephanie Tay Safehaven, our engagement coordinator, and Stacy Soso, our RE director. Thank you to the many folks who contribute to each service, which includes our RE volunteers who are currently with the children, Joel Yelland, our song leader and fire extinguisher person today, as well as our AV team, which today includes Alex, Vincensky, and Lee. Thank you. Thank you to our greeting and hospitality crew who work on welcoming people and preparing refreshments for later. Please consider joining us afterwards for fellowship after today's service. So winter solstice, the longest night of the year, which in the northern hemisphere falls somewhere in mid-December, occurred yesterday. It's a tradition that has been celebrated in various cultures in many ways, although fire and light are common symbols that are incorporated. Yule, with roots in Scandinavian and Germanic cultures, has elements that may be familiar to many of you with the Christmas symbols. The imagery evoked with Yule includes the darkest night, the cold, and communities gathering around to feast and share stories while waiting for the sun to rise. So, while our Tucson winters differ radically than for those in much colder climates, we aren't, after all, as afraid or as worried about the days lengthening again. In fact, we may be hoping it holds off a bit. But there is something about the metaphor of dark times and being in community that transcends geological location. Being in community to share a common experience and using the power of stories to connect with each other and to focus on the hope of returning light is part of Yule. Traditionally, Yule is a time to reflect on the year's end and to honor the warmth of community during darkness. A poem by Susan Cooper from the book The Shortest Day, or it was made into a book. So the shortest day came, and the year died, and everywhere down the centuries of the snow-white world came people singing, dancing to drive the dark away. They lighted candles in the winter trees. They hung their homes with evergreen. They burned beseeching fires all night long to keep the year alive. And when the New Year's sunshine blazed awake, they shouted, reveling. Through all the frosty ages you can hear them, echoing behind us. Listen. All the long echoes sing the same delight. This shortest day as promise wakens in the sleeping land. They carol, feast, give thanks, and dearly love their friends and hope for peace. And so do we here, now, this year, and every year. Welcome, Yule. Blessed be.
To light the chalice this morning, I'm going to read This Night of Mystery by Linda Hart. We kindle a small flame in the dark of the year, remembering the promise of life abundant, of a possible peace. We pause on this night of mystery to tell the stories, to sing the songs, and to bring more light into the world.
Today, for celebrations and comfort, our weekly ritual that we celebrate good times and bad times, planting and reaping, joys and sorrows. We recognize this each week through our ritual of joys and sorrows. This water collected from Sonoran skies, our homes, and our journeys represents our congregation. We drop stones into the water as we share joys and sorrows, reflections of these seasons of our lives. We invite our congregation to respond with celebration and comfort.
Good morning. I have two concerns to share today and one joy. The first concern is Kim Lager asks all of us to keep the physical and mental well-being of her son Dylan in our hearts. Dylan's going through some very challenging health issues at this time. The second concern is one of our Contigo Tambien family moms had a bad fall, tore ligaments in her foot, and we ask you to keep healing thoughts for Juana Anais Blanco. And our big joy today is to celebrate the 45th wedding anniversary of Susan Manker and Curtis Seal. We wish you our warmest congratulations.
We drop a handful of stones for the sorrows unnamed, but still present among us, and another for the joys, as a reminder of the seasons held among us, but not spoken aloud. Our Pastoral Care Committee invites you to contact us. We want to hear your joy and sorrow, and with your permission, we will share it on Sundays during our ritual. May we feel the rhythm of these seasons and respond to the need among us. Thank you.
Now you can look at me expectantly. Our first hymn this morning is a gorgeous piece. Jason Shelton wrote the music on words by Rachel Bates. It's 10:55 in our teal hymnal, but of course all the words will be on the screen. Stand with us as you will and join us for How Sweet the Darkness.
Come once more a friend. When wings pursue the proper flight and bring not terror but delight, when clouds are innocent again and hide no storms of deadly rain, and when the sky is swept of wars and keeps but gentle moon and stars, that peaceful sky, that harmless air, how sweet the darkness there.
Ready for a story? Okay. So we're going to read The Shortest Day, Celebrating the Winter Solstice by Wendy Pfeffer, and it's illustrated by Jesse Reich. So I can't tell a story without showing the pictures, so you're going to have to put up with me doing that, okay? Is that okay? All right. Let's begin. In late autumn, in the northern part of the world, squirrels hide nuts, foxes grow thick fur coats, and flocks of birds fly to warmer places. The sun rises later each morning and sets earlier each evening. Each day it appears lower in the southern sky. As the sun gets lower and lower, the north gets less and less daylight. The air grows colder. Chickadees fluff their feathers to keep warm. Woodchucks hibernate in their burrows. And white-tailed deer nuzzle through the snow to find the last blades of grass. On short winter days, children bundle in warm clothes. I'm not sure how much we know about that, but up north there's a lot more bundling to do. And walk through a frosty white world, dragging long shadows behind them. On long winter nights, families eat dinner while it's dark outside. Children wonder when the days will get long again, so they can play outside after dinner like they did in the summer. In the north, on or around December 21st, the sun reaches its lowest point on the horizon, making that day the shortest day of the year. Like all days, December 21st has 24 hours. But it's called the shortest day because it has the fewest hours of daylight. The shortest day, called the winter solstice, is the beginning of winter. And in some places, winter means cold, nose-nipping weather. The earth tilts as it moves around the sun. When the northern part of the earth tilts away from the sun, the north gets less heat and light than the southern part. Lots of snow pictures in this book, huh? More than we'll ever see probably here. Long ago, people didn't understand how the earth tilts and moves around the sun. They didn't understand why each day had less sunshine than the day before. Some believed that evil spirits made the sun go away. People feared that the sun wouldn't shine on them anymore, making their world cold and dreary dark. They needed the sun's warmth and light. So did their plants, which they needed for food. They held ceremonies that lasted for weeks to persuade their gods to bring back the sun. Over the years, people noticed that after short days, the days got gradually longer. Joyous people bathed in the sun's warmth and light, and they celebrated their harvests. About 5,000 years ago, people who studied the sky noticed that day after day, the sun set in different places on the western horizon. They discovered that when the sun set further south, that was the shortest day. These early astronomers planned to mark the shortest day. Then each year, people would know when the days would start getting longer again. On the day when the sun reached its southernmost point on the horizon, the astronomers carried out their plan. Workers stacked stones to frame the setting sun. They made a special opening, like a keyhole or the eye of a needle. When the setting sun's rays beamed through that opening, people knew the shortest day was over. Days gradually got longer for the next 6 months. When the sun appeared farthest to the south, its rays shone through another keyhole, and people knew it was the longest day of the year, the first day of summer. So they put that keyhole right there in the wall. In China, over 3,000 years ago, astronomers measured shadows to determine the shortest day. The longest shadows appeared on the shortest day because the sun was at its lowest point in the sky. They knew that as the sun appeared higher in the sky, the shadows would get shorter and the days would get longer. Over 2,000 years ago, Romans celebrated the shortest day with festivals and merrymaking. They gave evergreen branches to friends as a sign of good luck. Evergreen wreaths decorated their doors. Since these plants stayed green when others turned brown, they reminded the Romans of the coming spring. Mistletoe and holly hung in their homes because plants that survived the harsh winter were symbols of life. And many people believed these plants would bring strength to their families. About 1,000 years ago, Europeans celebrated the winter solstice. Druid priests of England and Ireland decorated oak trees with golden apples and candles to represent harvest and light. In Sweden, A festival of light celebrated the return of longer days. On St. Lucia's Day, girls wore crowns of evergreens and candles to rekindle the sun's fire as they delivered warm, sweet buns to family and friends. Boys went from door to door singing to the neighbors for a few coins. Around the same time in history, the Incas of Peru marked the shortest day with a festival in honor of the sun. At dawn, when the sun first appeared, shouts of happiness rang out. Then the Incas used a shiny surface to reflect the sun's rays onto fluffy, dry cotton. The sun heated the cotton and made it burst into flame. They carried the fire to their temples and kept it burning on altars all year because it came from one of their gods, the sun. Today, people still celebrate at the beginning of winter by decorating their houses, lighting the darkness, gathering together, and exchanging gifts. They no longer worry that the sun will disappear forever. People know that days get colder when their part of the earth tilts away from the sun. They know that days get shorter when the sun appears lower in the sky. People celebrate the shortest day because longer days follow. Flocks of birds will return, seedling oaks will sprout, and children will play outside after dinner. For more than 5,000 years, people have welcomed the winter solstice because it's a new beginning. The end.
Thank you, Maria. You are welcome to join us, or also welcome to leave, whatever works for you. And so, no. Earlier this fall, our electricity went out. It was only for a few hours towards the evening. We found some camping lanterns and used those and other light sources we could scrounge to do our evening routine. Luckily, dinner had already been cooked, so we ate by flickering candlelight and read stories to the kids in one room all together and used flashlights to navigate around. The house was warming up, and while my husband and I were worried that we would need to figure out other sleeping arrangements, this is, after all, early fall in Tucson, the kids were having fun with it. And it was an adventure and added something different to the day. During this, I had moments of deja vu, remembering similar times as a 5-year-old when the power would be out and the adults around me would light candles and I would practice my letters for school in that flickering light. The memories came and went during those hours, remembering my mom and my aunties talking and reassuring my brother and I and making us laugh and generally trying to distract us from the very real problems happening outside. I have several memories as a child where I knew things were not going well. We were in Beirut in a time of war, and there were tensions that I could sense from those around me, but didn't understand and couldn't name. I remember a conversation years later with my mom about how she seemed so grounded and calm, and at that time she shared how terrified she was, and that also she knew she had to stay calm for us. I remember the warmth and the love of my family in that apartment. Although these are two very separate situations, it reminds me of the cyclical nature of life. That even with the many, many, many differences in those two situations, how there are echoes of each other. I'm now in the position of having to create a sense of safety and warmth. I recognize the immense privilege with not being in the same position my parents were, and where currently all too many people are. I think about those parents now, whether in war zones, refugee camps, homeless encampments, who may also be trying to comfort their kids while dealing with the darkness. This month, we've been exploring specifically embracing the dark. And I want to acknowledge that darkness can be scary. The future can be terrifying. The fear our ancestors had on those long winter nights about surviving times of difficulty, about their children surviving, is something we can emphasize with. It's still happening, even if not quite in the same way as everyone else. I also want to acknowledge the power that comes from darkness, that it allows us to be in periods of contemplation, getting to know ourselves. There's something to be said about late night ruminations or wandering around the house when everyone's asleep. Reverend Tina, a few weeks ago, talked about how darkness reveals the stars, exploring with us the need for it in order to experience things we may otherwise not. Darkness is a place where we can connect to people differently. When we're having dinner together, having an intimate conversation, or being around a campfire sharing stories, there's something to be said about the experience of shutting out all other distractions that seem to speed up time, and to engage more thoroughly with our senses in the present. And it makes sense to me that Yule and winter solstice are celebrated by coming together and sharing stories, because stories are what helps remind us of our humanity.
It's my great pleasure to introduce Dan, Debbie, and Charlie to sing a beautiful song that until just a tiny bit ago I realized I thought it was the Dan song because I heard it first from him and this group performing it. Beautiful song called Corn, Water, and Wood, but it's actually by, I had it right here, Wendy Waldman and Carol Elliott, and apparently there's a very famous Michael Martin Murphey recording of it as well too that I'm not familiar with, but super excited for you to hear this beautiful song. And let me get Charlie this microphone here.
This is a cowboy version of the Three Wise Men coming and bringing gifts. And they brought corn, water, and wood. I was in the arroyo gathering strays. You know, cowboys and cattle don't get holidays. I would have been finished except for one little guy who kept leading me farther away. He went up on the mesa, across the ravine, past the Indian ruins and the muddy wet stream. I was bone tired, so I sat for a spell, and I guess I started to dream. I saw 3 painted ponies, 3 dark-skinned men, a mask made of clay, and voices like wind, singing, we seek the song of all that is good. We come bearing corn, water, and wood. Stop and behold, all that is good. Give thanks for the corn, water, and wood. I'm an old trail hound, and I've always believed your boots and your saddle are all that you leave. No miracles happen, no angels appear, but I swear, 3 men were standing there. I shook myself over. Had I been asleep? That's just 3 Pueblo children tending their sheep, and they yelled, "Merry Christmas!" as they brought me my stray, and their voices rang through the mesquite, singing, sing the song of all that is good. We come bearing corn, water, and wood. Stop and behold all that is good. Give thanks for the corn, water, and wood. We seek the song of all that is good. We come bearing corn, water, and wood. Stop and behold all that is good. Give thanks for the corn, water, and wood.
Our reading today is Dark Matter by Nikita Gill from the book Poems of Rebellion, Wild Embers, Fire, and Beauty. Dark Matter. There is grace in the way the sinews of your ribcage contain this heart of yours, this magic thing in your chest that defies science, and how many times it breaks and brings itself back to life again. And every time you thought it dead, love flowed through it like electricity, starting up what you thought was dead. You spent so much time wondering, what gives this thing I thought dead the energy to start again? The answer lies in that 80% of your heart you have not yet channeled. There are stars glittering inside you that have never been handled. This, the dark matter of you, hides an immeasurable amount of strength and an impossible amount of energy. It lies dormant, silent and solid, like the 80% of space yet unexplored. This means that when you believe you are empty, that the world has drained you completely, there is still an impossible amount of your strength simply awaiting discovery. The dark matter of you, a powerhouse of impossibility, which goes to show you the resilient human heart is a thing of intergalactic, interwoven, incredible rarity. We can be lonely. In Brianna Weiss's book, Ceremony, she writes, we all assume, before I even start, Maria will be handing out a piece of paper and a pen. Please take one of each. I will guide you on what we will be doing throughout this. For those of you online, please let Lee, Dan, or Alex back there know, I think Lee, right? Know, ultimately, when we get to a word, what to write down, they will write it for you. And so, in Brianna Weiss's book, Ceremony, she shares, we all assume that because we live in such a hyper-connected society, we should be less lonely than ever. She goes on to say that's exactly the problem. What we gain in connection, we lose in context. The theme of human loneliness isn't a new one. It's been echoed in texts for millennia. In Plato's dialogues, Socrates discusses the idea of human connection and the isolation that comes from being misunderstood. This matches what scientists have discovered about loneliness. The data around it is clear. Dr. Julianne Holt-Lonstad, in a meta-analysis of over 70 studies, demonstrated that loneliness is more harmful to our health than being a heavy smoker. You would think the solution of connection would be easy to reach for. And yet, the more disconnected we feel, the more we pull away. Because our brains are also wired for self-preservation. Dr. Brené Brown, in her book Braving the Wilderness, explains, when we feel isolated, disconnected, and lonely, we try to protect ourselves. In that mode, we want to connect, but our brain is attempting to override connection with self-protection. And that means less empathy, more defensiveness, more numbing, less sleeping. Unchecked loneliness fuels continued loneliness by keeping us afraid to reach out. The answer, both simple and difficult, connection. As much for our sense of joy in the world as for our health, deepening our relationships to one another and to our world. How do we go about it? What are our own barriers to it? Ritual can be one way to deepen connections. So what's ritual? Ritual is a set of behaviors that have symbolic meanings that we help create. So we have religious rituals performed as part of a worship service. We have cultural rituals, traditions that have meaning for your own cultural identity. We have societal rituals, how we greet each other, how we celebrate special events, births, weddings, funerals, which can also intersect with religion and culture. We have personal rituals, individual or family practices that bring you structure and meaning. What does ritual mean to you? We here at MVU practice ritual in a variety of ways, which a couple examples we saw today. Celebrating our joys and sorrows together as a community. When small groups meet, starting off with a chalice lighting and sharing a reading. Even some of the yearly rituals with water communions. Or when we create our own rituals and we practice them. There can be value in looking to the past and finding ways to integrate old rituals to meet our very real human need for deeper relationships and add more meaning and depth to our lives. So Yule rituals often revolve around self-reflection during the longest night, as well as storytelling. How many of you are familiar with Humans of New York? Raise your hand if you are, if you've heard of it. A few of you, okay. If you haven't, highly recommend it. You can find it either on social media or online. It's a photo blog that started in 2010 by photographer Brandon Stanton, where he photographs and interviews people on the streets of New York. It's led to several book compilations where you read stories that are funny, poignant, sad, sometimes uncomfortable. I have several books at home, and I brought one here if anyone wants to look at it afterwards as well. An example would be, I'm going to read a short little story. My parents had me young, so my grandmother raised me. She was already retired when I was born and started working again just so that she could provide for me. Her favorite thing to say is, "I've got your back." When something really good happens or something really bad happens, she will send me a card that says, "I've got your back." We live together, but she actually mails the cards to me. And it's a photo of a woman sharing the story. As much as we talk about the negative things about social media, one of the positives I get is going to the comments section when Stanton posts. So I know, comment sections rarely bring joy. But in this instance, I do find joy. People use the space to talk about the meaning making on what was posted. Some write about their emotional reactions to what was written. Some talk about the empathy or compassion that they're noticing. Some write about the experiences in their own lives that reminds them of what that particular person shared. And some write about the discomfort they're noticing mixed in with all the above. Storytelling can be powerful. It's a fundamental human experience that allows us to share and connect with others and to make sense of the world. It's used as a tool to teach, to pass down cultural traditions, to foster connections. We use stories to reflect and learn about ourselves and the life we live and want to live. It plays a crucial role in childhood development. Lots of benefits, but one of them, stories can increase emotional intelligence by introducing kids to different emotions and situations, teaching them to have empathy for others. Think of the books that are usually put on a ban list, because they might make kids too uncomfortable. I think that's sometimes kind of the point. We have to feel uncomfortable because that teaches us more about ourselves and our own values. Thank you, Maria. Does everyone have a piece of paper and a pen? Excellent. So I'd like you to sit back, get comfortable. Hopefully you already are comfortable, actually. So, one of my favorite quotes from Octavia Butler's book, Parable of the Sower, is that all that you touch, you change, and all that changes, changes you. We are constantly evolving beings. Often it happens unintentionally, as we go through life and intersect with things happening around us and to us. We can also direct the change that we want. My idea of ritual follows the saying, intention, attention, repetition. Our intent is to explore our own barriers and reflect on them and reflect on this past year and be in this space together. So take a breath. Feel yourself in your chair. Consider what hasn't worked for you in this last year. Yule is a time of endings, on reflecting on this past year and considering where you want to go. And today, we're focusing on what we want to let go of. Take a breath. Thinking back on this past year, what caused you pain? Sitting here in this space, in community, what has held you back from reaching towards community? And it can be any form of community, not just this one. What negative emotions, what past experiences, what old habits or stories about yourself or others has led to loneliness or disconnection? Take a breath. Notice what comes up. Don't judge. Just notice that, and if possible, give it a word, a name. Feel free to write it down. It could be a word that represents those barriers in your life. It could be a word that represents an emotion or a habit that has moved you away from where you want to be. Take a breath. If you are so moved, write down that word. We will pass the basket to collect it for burning during our next place. Blessed be.
And while you're thinking and writing, we have another song for you. This one put together by George Murphy and a few of our choir members. Beautiful song by Mary Gregolia called The Dark.
If you think you've heard Mary Gregolia's name before, I know this rose will open. Yeah, that's Mary. I sing to the light that I see out the door, and it's dark. one who enfolds me below and above, and it's dark, dark inside. Oh, the darkness tastes good, the darkness tastes fine. Living in the darkness makes a different state of mind. The darkness knows healing, the darkness knows change. Oh, Mother Darkness, I return to you again. Oh, Mother Darkness, I return to you again.
If you have any more papers, feel free to bring them up. I'll take the pen.
I'm magnetic today.
Excellent. Thank you. Intention, attention, repetition. Our intent: to explore and self-reflect and be in community. Of course, something we can always do, not just here. Attention: being fully present and mindful, allowing yourself to engage deeply in this moment. Repetition: repetition strengthens the power of ritual, making it easier to internalize. Over time, repeated repetition of rituals can become powerful anchors of meaning and comfort. We can create our own rituals. My family has our own rituals that grounds and creates meaning. The kids complain about them sometimes, but also they bring them up if we don't do them. So I know that somehow they're internalizing it. Thank you for participating in this ritual today. I hope you do find some meaning in it. We are going to light this on fire. For those of you concerned about safety, maybe not afraid, please know that I have taken the proper precautions. I've been lighting fires since I was 7 years old. However, there is a fire extinguisher and some water available, as well as, I believe, a few trained medical professionals. As we light this, I'd like you to keep in mind what you're working on letting go. I'm going to do this reading from Ceremony by Brianna Weiss. Ritual can also be fun. You get to choose how you see your life. And so I hope you choose to see serendipity. I hope that when something beautiful happens, you take it as a confirmation. And when something hard happens, you see it as a movement to rest and heal. I hope you choose to put together the pieces. I hope that you seek understanding. I hope you find little wells of joy that may spring up through the day. Not the best songs in the world either, but it's all I had. I hope you feel a connection where others see separation. There's some that are hidden here too. I hope you discover things you never knew you'd want to come. I hope you know that 1,000 failures are the building blocks to your becoming. That cut it a little close, but who doesn't like a little fire danger, right? Some of you are like, no. I hope you are not dissuaded by the dead ends. I hope you know that they are not the final destinations. I hope that you know that it is the courage to keep beginning that ultimately gets us all where we are meant to be. And with one last one, I wish you all peace. Blessed be.
Won't you stand with us and sing number 18 in our gray hymnal, What Wondrous Love.
What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What whose love is this that brings my oh such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath my sorrow's ground, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul, oh my soul. Friends to me gathered round, oh my soul. To all my friends I will sing, I will sing. To love and all friends I will sing. To love and to all friends who pain and love for amend, thanks unto the end I will sing, I will sing. With thanks unto the end I will sing.
As we see divisiveness in our world and the inability for people to talk to each other, or maybe more importantly, to hear each other, it can be exhausting. As we see the injuries to innocent people accumulate, it can be exhausting. So when that exhaustion drains us, when we can't see justice or kindness or fairness, it's time to step back and reflect. It's time to rest, to carefully choose where and when we walk into the fray. Now we move out of the cool darkness where we found sanctuary and let go of the hurt that may have accumulated in our souls as we walk into the light. Our congregation has chosen a mission to engage, love, and transform our future. From out of our rest and sanctuary, we choose to move in a variety of ways. We gather a monthly collection in a woven basket for an organization in our community bringing diversity, equity, and inclusion to life. This month, our woven basket partner is Dancing in the Streets, Arizona. This ballet studio in South Tucson is currently running a wonderful nutcracker at the Temple of Music and Art. Their last performance is today at 2 p.m., and Chris Tackett is the conductor of their live orchestra. Tickets are still available. If you would like to share in our collection for Dancing in the Streets, please put something in the woven basket when you leave the sanctuary this morning. And similarly, if you would like to support the work of our congregation, you can make a donation in the wooden bowl next to the basket. All of your generosity would be deeply appreciated. Winter Chill, Chris?
Before I touch on Winter Chill, I do want to emphasize there are plenty of tickets available. 2 o'clock today, Temple of Music and Art, South Scott, downtown. Also, Joel and Grace Yelland and Monica Bauer are all playing in the orchestra, so it's going to be a good time. Please come see it. It's a wonderful, wonderful show. And tomorrow night, if you're looking for some way to relax and unwind, if the holidays have just been running you ragged, come join us, 6 o'clock tomorrow night, 2 hours of relaxed winter, just a chance to sit quietly and relax. If you want to, you can certainly bring a book and read. You can bring some crafts to sit and finish up. Heck, bring those last couple of Christmas cards and sit and quietly write them as I'll play some piano, we'll have some music for you, we'll have some light snacks, and we will be here for tomorrow evening's Winter Chill, 6 to 8, right here. It's a good time. We always have a good time, and I hope to see you tomorrow night.
And our own Christmas Eve pageant. At 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve, we return to the Reverend Norman Allen's interactive, no rehearsal Christmas pageant, our own version of it, which we call the absolutely no rehearsal, let's wing it together, have fun, and find our way to Christmas pageant. In this fun-filled, multi-generational service, we'll explore the many meanings of Christmas as reflected in our secular faith community, so please join us. Melanie, fun, friendship, and frolic fundraiser.
Yes, I'm representing the committee that's putting on our major fundraiser this year. It used to be Mesquite Madness, and it was held as an auction. This year, it is not. Everything's going to have a set price. And I want to take a moment to talk about the opportunity that you have to come together as a community and make a difference. This year, the changes I just mentioned. In the past, we've had an auction where the highest bidder walked away with the prize. And while that approach brought great enthusiasm, we noticed something. Many of you, out of sheer generosity, would simply bid the maximum price right away. While we truly appreciate that spirit of giving, we realized we could make this process even better by setting fair, flat prices for all items and services. This change allows everyone to contribute and participate, no matter their budget. It's not about outbidding your neighbor. It's about joining hands and hearts to support our church and its mission. Now, here's where you come in. To make this fundraiser a success, we're calling on your creativity and generosity to donate services or experiences. These offerings can be as unique as you are. Here are just a few ideas. Host a delicious home-cooked dinner for a group. Offer a weekend of pet sitting for someone's furry friend. Share your love of sports by donating tickets to a baseball game. And here's one that's sure to spice things up. Our very own minister is offering to take on the Hot Ones Challenge. Yes, you heard that right. He's willing to brave the hottest of hot sauces to bring some heat to this fundraiser. So he will be looking for others to join him at his house. So whether you can cook, babysit, teach a skill, or simply share something you're passionate about, there's a way for everyone to contribute. It's not just about raising funds, it's about strengthening our bonds and creating meaningful connections as a church family. I encourage each of you to think about what you can offer. No service or idea is too small. Together, these efforts will support the work of our church and extend our mission far beyond these walls. I think the deadline is the 25th. Is that correct? So we need to have your submission of donations. Today, we'll have a table out in the Oasis room, or by today or by email Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of this week. Thank you for your generosity, creativity, and commitment to our community. Let's make this year's event one to remember. When is it? The 5th. The 5th of January. What? Oh, it's in 2 weeks, and we will have a list of all the items come out before that, and you can have, if you're not going to be around, you can have somebody bid, it's not a bid, but sign up for you. Yeah.
From Christmas Day through New Year's Day, our church office will be closed. Our minister and staff will be enjoying rest and time with family after our busy holiday season. To make sure that they receive your communications, please contact Reverend Matthew, Stephanie, Stacy, or Chris starting on January 2nd, 2025. In an emergency, please contact Erin Eichelberger, our board president, and she'll help assess who needs to be called. We transform the future, seeking new means to expressing joy. Marie Kondo is the living saint of getting rid of your unwanted stuff. Her one question, does it spark joy, has become the measure of keeping something or giving it away. We will begin the new year with a Sunday service where we will not only explore this question, but have the opportunity to get rid of all your unwanted stuff. Bring all the stuff that doesn't spark joy for you, from items in storage, things clogging your closets, or those holiday gifts you received that were generous but maybe not joyful. We will bring all our stuff here as a part of our support for Contigo Tambien, our immigration ministry, and our January rummage sale. So January 5th, you can buy things for the friendship, fun, and frolic, and you can get rid of all your stuff. Look in our Friday newsletter for more information. And I think we're ready to release the flame. As we extinguish our chalice, I would like to read Hope Continues by Kevin Jago. When the candle dims, the wax almost spent, the light turns amber like a sunset. Still, it provides light, and still, it provides heat. Still, it can kindle new flame and pass its glow on and contribute to new illumination when sunsets turn to new days, when seasons transform all, when the candle dims, all is not lost. Hope continues, uncertain and true, like candlelight, ready to spark again, all is not lost.
Quickly, before I need your help with the postlude. Before I do that, though, I did want to say tomorrow evening, I'll be here from about 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock on. If anybody wishes to come and give us a hand with Winter Chill, that would be greatly appreciated as well. Okay, all right, everybody's a smarty. I need your help. It's easy.